Hey guys, Adam from Equipped Indoor here with my good friend Ryan Beckelman. Ryan, what's up, buddy?
How you doing?
All right, so Ryan, we've known each other for what? God, almost 20?
Too long?
20 years? Too long. That's pretty good. Now, Ryan is a fellow law enforcement officer, and we've actually worked together for the last 7 years. Ryan is very much a subject matter expert in reference to firearms training. You've been a firearms instructor for over 7 years. We've had a lot of questions in regarding to concealed carry. You know, because of all the recent events, it's probably a good idea to talk about that.
Absolutely.
So the first thing we need to talk about is safety. You guys know that. And the second thing is training. Take it away and show us what we got.
Before we touch a weapon, before we handle a weapon, we got 4 main safety rules. And the most important one is treat every weapon as if we're loaded. And this is basically a catch-all. Don't touch it, man.
Ow. Okay.
Treat every weapon as if we're loaded. This is a catch-all. 3 more, but basically this encompasses all of them. This gets you in the mindset to pick up a gun, follow all the rules without really even thinking about them. If I pick up a loaded gun, or if I pick up any gun, I want to treat it as if it were loaded. If it were loaded, would I point it at him?
No.
Possibly. No, I wouldn't point it at him.
So these are pretty much idiot-proof if you follow them all the time.
Correct. Yeah.
All right,
they should be. All right. So let's say I pick up a gun and I assume that it's loaded. I wouldn't point it at somebody. I wouldn't put my finger on the trigger. I would take mental steps to prevent myself from doing something that I shouldn't do with a gun. Number 2, never point a weapon at anything you intend to destroy. So first thing I do when I pick up that gun, I'm going to make sure I establish a safe direction where if I do make a mistake, then it's going to go off. If it goes off, it's not going to destroy anything I don't want to destroy or kill anybody I don't want to kill. Keep your finger straight and off the trigger, and that applies to just basically picking up the gun and handling it. A lot of people you see watch the movies, and first thing they do is they just grab the gun and they got their finger on the trigger. What I like to do is just press my finger up against the slide. Here, I put a little pressure on it. Just I build a muscle in my finger that basically builds muscle memory. I can feel my finger on the slide, and I know where it is at all times. There's something called sympathetic reflex, that if I flex one finger, the other ones are going to follow. That if I'm gripping a gun and my finger is over the trigger guard, it's possible that I could sympathetically squeeze my trigger finger and to set off the weapon. But if my finger's up here, it's not going to happen. Finally, know your target, backstop, and what's beyond. That applies to, not just, if you're shooting paper targets, you got to know what's behind it, but we got to know what our bullet's capable of, what we're capable of. If I'm defending myself in a crowded place, am I going to be able to hit my target? Can I count on my skills enough to be able to hit my target? Second, what's my gun capable of? Is my gun going to punch through whatever I hit? Is it going to go through a wall, go through another wall, go through another wall, and hit some innocent person on the other side? So these are all things we have to consider, when we're using the gun, whether it's for practice, for training, or for actually tactical application. One more, but it doesn't apply to all guns. Like, for example, it doesn't apply to Glock. We want to make sure the weapon is on safe while you're handling it. That'll apply to any gun with a manual safety, Beretta, 1911.
All right, so Ryan, what do we have here? I see a 23, and is this a 26?
This is a 27. They're both 40 caliber Glocks. And what I wanted to talk to was recently I've been carrying my Glock 27 a lot more, and I've found a way to make it a lot more versatile. My history with concealed carry originally went with the Glock 23, and it's not a small gun. As you can see, you can pretty well conceal that.
I've never had a problem.
Yeah. You're a big guy. So I carry just about every day. So comfort is a huge issue. Now, the Glock 23 wasn't very comfortable for me to carry. And I hate to admit it, but I found myself not carrying more often than not because I just didn't want the pain in the butt, literally the pain in the butt, which isn't a very disciplined thing to do. But, for some reason I did it. It's
just like, I look at your weapon just like your survival kit, just like your pocket knife, your EDC, whatever. If you're not going to always have it with you, it's not going to do you any good. So
no point in having it. The one time you say, you know what, I don't feel like carrying it, that's the day you're going to need it. Yeah. You started carrying a different gun. I started carrying a J frame, which is a small frame revolver with a 2-inch barrel. It was a little bit smaller. The width of it was really the big issue. I carried that in the waistband, and that was really, really nice to carry for a while. Then I got my hands on a Ruger LCP, which is basically a micro compact semi-automatic pistol. You could slip in your pocket, you could put it anywhere on you, and basically, nobody's going to know you have it. So I carried that for a little bit, but I really, really missed the reliability of a combat-proven handgun like Glock. But this is a Glock 27. It's the same gun, just sized down. And you can see it's about an inch less. I think it's 3/4 of an inch less. And
slide is tapered a little bit.
Right. Yeah, this one's actually tapered for to cut down on the snag points and everything, because it is considered more of a concealed carry pistol. So it has a substantial reduction in grip, as you can see. And when you hold the gun, you can definitely see the difference. If I'm holding the gun here, and this is the standard magazine it comes with, it's a 9-round magazine. It still doesn't give you a lot to hold on to. Especially with smaller barreled weapons. You get a lot of muzzle flip with a smaller barreled weapon. It's just the physics involved. Your initial shot, not so much, but follow through shots, which you're going to have, it's going to slow you down a lot. Part of what comes with a combat handgun is follow-up shots. So I started carrying this gun, and what I was looking for was versatility. I want to take a weapon with me, but I just don't feel like put my holster on, all that stuff, which is, again, it's not a very disciplined practice, but I'd rather have the gun with me than not. So the cool thing about the 27 is if I leave the round out of the chamber, you know, put in my magazine once I've established my chamber's clear, I can put this, you know, in my pocket, and all I have to do is once I find a threat, you know, rack it and get into the fight. At least I have it with me, and it'll slip right in my pocket. Nobody really knows it's in there, and I can do what I got to do. So I don't carry it that often with that magazine. There is another option. They have the same magazine, but it comes with a finger extension. Same amount of rounds, 9 rounds. I can put it in the weapon, and it gives me a little bit more grip right there, and the same reduced profile silhouette. There are times where I will carry this magazine if I'm in a place where, or maybe I have, like, you know, a little bit tighter shirt on or whatever. Usually I wear a shirt that is fairly baggy. Yeah. Yeah. I like spandex.
Hey, you got your little brother's shirt on again. Awesome.
This is a good option. It's a great, inexpensive option if you have this gun. Another even better option is a +1. So it's basically the same magazine. The base plate has been replaced with a larger base plate, larger floor plate that will fit one more round into the magazine, and it will give me much more for my grip. All right. Again, my silhouette's greatly reduced. All right. There's one more option. The cool thing about Glock series of guns is, you know, you have your small frame semi-auto, your medium frame semi-auto, and they also have the large frame combat style pistol. I could take the largest magazine for the Glock 40 cal, and I could put it in the Glock 23. I could take that same magazine and put it in the Glock 27. All right. So I have the Glock 23 in its magazine. I can put its magazine into my Glock 27, and it'll feed just nicely, as if it were a Glock 23. Now, unfortunately, it has this little kind of thing here. If I wanted to shoot like that, I really could, and, you know, it would help improve my follow-through shots. I like this option. I like being able to. It gives me 13 rounds as opposed to 9 rounds. There's a couple companies that make these nifty little sleeves for your magazine. This is a Glock 23 magazine. If I took this sleeve off, which it's got a little set screw in there that tightens it on, so it's basically fixed. This is part of the magazine now. You don't want to tighten them too much because they can actually push into the plastic, but, you know, it's on there, it's not going to come off, and even if it was loose, it doesn't really matter because, you know, I can fit it right there onto my gun, and it gives me a full-size Glock 23 feel to my Glock 27. And I can put these side by side again, and you'll see that now I have the same grip, but I still have less barrel, which I'll still get that muzzle flip, but it's not going to be as noticeable because I can handle the gun a lot better. When it comes to me concealing it, I use a Kydex holster, and actually I want to talk more about these in later videos. This
it's a sassy little
sweet little thing here. It's pretty nice because I can go with my +1, fit it in here, and, you know, you can't really tell unless you are looking for it that I have it. If I really want, I can go with my full Glock 23 magazine, put it in there. It's a little bit more noticeable, but still, unless you know what you're looking for, it's hard to see it.
Now, let me ask you a question. What do you feel about training with the different magazines? It's a necessity, wouldn't you say?
You definitely want to train with all your equipment. I have such a wide experience with all these different weapons that it's all the same to me right now. But I'm used to training actually with Glock 23s and the Glock 23 magazine. And if I compare these two, trying to feed this into my gun, not only is it smaller, but I have less grip here, so I have to move my hand out of the way. I got to know how to get it into the gun, and it does take a little bit of training to do.
So it almost might be a detriment because you're so used to this feel up here that your mind is automatically. It's not like you feel like a different gun. You
Exactly.
use your old muscle memory established with the 23.
Yeah. Yep.
So training fellows. Let's talk a little bit about training.
Definitely. Oh, well, there's 3 different types of training. We have static training, which is basically, you know, you sit on a line at your local, you know, shooting range, and you're nice and comfortable, and you're working on technique, your trigger squeeze, your grip, your sight alignment, sight picture. everything's very controlled, you're very calm, you're working on fundamentals basically. Next is dynamic, which would be adding movement to this. So I've got all my magazines staged and I'm working on actually drawing from the holster, engaging my target. If I have to do a emergency reload, whatever I have to do, I'm incorporating that on top of my fundamentals. I'm adding dynamics or movement to it. Finally is interactive, and that's where you're probably, depending on your creativity, not going to be able to do as easy as somebody in law enforcement, military, because that's dealing with simunitions, paintballs. But you know the FX, or not FX, the what do they call it? With the little balls that you can get from like Walmart or whatever.
The air rifle.
Airsoft is what it is. Those are, I've heard of people doing those with their friends, and
so it does have
or even paintball. Yeah, it does. or even
the airsoft guys would be mad.
I know, right? Or even paintballs. These are things you can work on basic tactics instead of basic fundamentals. The fundamentals of the mechanics of the weapon are going to be different. Those are three.
Just make sure if you guys are doing any training like that, make sure you're in an area that you can do that, and locals know that you're doing that. Don't just go in somebody's backyard with simunitions and start popping around at each other, because that might not end well. So those things hurt as well. Yeah. They hurt a lot.
Yep.
Ain't that right?
Yeah, I got scars. Definitely training. I really would discourage just going and buying a gun and going and buying a holster and just carrying it. Definitely train with it. Learn the gun, learn the holster, learn the ins and outs of it. Learn it until you fail. There's a saying that one of my favorite firearms instructors says, amateurs train until they get it right, professionals train until they get it wrong. So do it and learn the limits of you and your weapon and your system and everything you have. Don't just rely on the movies to train you and think that you have a gun, you have a holster, you can conceal carry, because it's not that easy.
For that matter, YouTube. Sure. We're giving you guys information, but we're not going to show you how to utilize these weapons. You need to go to a professional that can see what you're doing and interact with you to get rid of those bad traits. And one thing that's very important too is when you're looking for an instructor, find somebody who's really good, who knows what they're doing. And don't try to teach yourself first. What you can do there is establish bad habits. It's going to be very hard to unlearn for that instructor to make sure you're doing it right. Sometimes I know a lot of instructors, I know a plethora of different disciplines, like to find the person who knows nothing about it, and somebody knows just enough to get themselves in trouble. So
it definitely, that is huge. I try to break people all the time with stupid habits. And most importantly, and this is probably, it's nothing we can teach you here because there's just too much, but know your local laws. Know your state, your federal, state, and local laws when it comes to carrying concealed. Not just about what's legal to carry, when and where, but know what your rights are as somebody wants to defend themselves. And
for example, our fellow law enforcement officers with HR 218, they can carry in all 50 states and U.S. territories. You still have to abide by whatever concealed carry laws are there for that state. So school zones or religious organizations and stuff like that. So make sure you follow up as well before you travel to certain states. Also the ammunition. There's certain states like New Jersey, hollow point ammunition, they don't care if you're a cop from wherever. That's illegal in that state. So pretty good information nonetheless. So research, guys. Ryan, thank you very much, sir. Yep. We'll see some more stuff from Ryan here in the near future. If you guys, Adam from Equipped and Door. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at adam@equippedanddoor.com. You can also email your firearms questions at firearms@equippedanddoor.com. You guys take care, be safe. Remember, if you're not always prepared, you're never prepared. Thanks.